Well, hey guys, what's up? It's your boy, one and only AR Legends. And yeah, guys, today I am back with another story for you guys, which is gonna be what if Naruto was neglected by his family and was truly blessed. So yeah, guys, it is gonna be really OP of a series. And yeah, guys, don't worry about it. After this part, I'm gonna make 2 more videos. Hopefully, today shall be 3 videos of my other series as well, as I have not abandoned other two. So don't worry about it. And yeah, guys, for the next part of this series, the like goal is gonna be 200 likes and 80 comments. Do that and I shall upload the next part as soon as possible. So yeah, guys, before starting this video, I would like to make a request to all of you guys who are watching this video. If you guys are new to the channel or if you guys have not subscribed yet, please guys do so. It would be really helpful to me, as I want to reach 20k subscribers, and you guys subscribing would be really helpful to me. And yeah, guys, I've already put the link of my Instagram within the description below. So please follow me on Instagram. So without wasting any more of your time, let us start the video. So I'm gonna start my video with a 13-year-old Naruto who was at the moment sleeping, but suddenly his eyes widened as he grabbed his head in almost pain. He was about to scream, but suddenly his body got linked for a moment as after some time, his eyes widened, but this time, these were not the eyes of a 13-year-old child. No, these were the eyes of someone who has seen many things. As Naruto looked towards his hand and started to look around as he said, So finally, the technique was able to work. As he smirked and looked towards his hand, he could feel the flash. After, you can say, 13 years, he still remembered everything. How he had died at the age of 13, betrayed by his siblings and abandoned by his parents. As Naruto gritted his teeth, he still remembered how he died, and after dying, he became a ghost, wandering around Konoha, not being able to pass on. He saw everything, how his siblings became the so-called heroes of the shinobi world, and how they had, you can say, gone through from 4th Great Ninja War to the 5th Great Ninja War, seeing their accomplishment after they have stomped over his own. As Naruto truly hated all of them. As Naruto finally stood up, this time will be different. He will not allow himself to be sabotaged by those bastards, and he will accomplish many things. As Naruto smirked at that thought, even though he had died at the age of 13, that didn't mean that he didn't knew many other powers and techniques. He looked towards his hand. He could feel the power coming in his body. This time, everything is gonna be different. And now, let us have a time skip. Naruto finally came down to the, you can say, dinner table where everything was prepared. They have already graduated yesterday and today they were celebrating. Minato was, you can say, busy making the teams at the moment, but he had promised to come back. As Kushina looked towards Naruto with true annoyance in her eyes, even though she hid it well. She was just talking with Menma and Mito about their future plans, and Kushina had already talked with Minato that how she wants to be the sensei for Menma and Mito and one another member, while on the other hand, Minato was, for some reason at the moment, was in the library. He was looking a bit stressed at the moment. At this, Naruto simply decided to take his seat. As Minato finally came out of the library, he was looking a bit stressed at the moment. As he looked towards Kushina, Kushina, something is wrong. I cannot find some of the scrolls inside of the library, especially the scroll of the Rasengan. As Kushina was a bit confused, how could the scroll could have gone missing? The whole, you can say, mansion was, you can say, engulfed in seals. No one can enter without their permission, and no one can definitely leave without their permission or knowing at the least. As finally, the looks on the twins finally came smirks as Menma looked towards Mito and giving her a, you can say, push. As Mito nodded, well, Kasa, I have seen Naruto Nisan coming outside of the Diet's library. He had some scrolls in his hands. At this, Kushina's eyes widened as she looked towards Naruto and started to glare. Naruto, how dare you to steal from your own parents, especially the scroll of your father? As you little brat, we gave you everything from eating to education, and this is the thanks you give us by stealing from us. As Kushina quickly pushed the chair back and stood up, and she was about to slap Naruto, but Naruto grabbed her hand to the surprise of everyone. This was not, you can say, an uncommon scene from many moments. Mito had accused Naruto from, you can say, breaking or stealing, and he was always punished, but he never resisted, as Kushina often get physical with him. But this time, Naruto grabbed her hand, and the look in his eyes was pure, you can say, steel, shocking Kushina. Even she had taken a step back as Naruto looked towards her. Miss Kushina, do you have any evidence that I was the one who has stolen from your library? At this, Kushina was truly shocked and baffled. Even Minato was taken aback from this whole scene as he looked towards Naruto and a serious expression came to his face. Naruto, that is not the way for you to talk to your own mother. Apologize now. As Naruto looked towards him, well, Hokage-sama, I do not see any evidence of her accusing me of stealing anything. Not only that, she has just in front of you attacked a fellow shinobi. What does she have to say for herself? At this, Kushina was flabbergasted. She really didn't know what to say at this point, as Menma and Mito were simply looking towards each other in utter surprise. As Minato shook his head, Naruto, your siblings have seen you taking scroll from my library, so it is good for you to give it back to me and apologize to us at this instance. Otherwise, your punishment is gonna be even harsher this time. As he was looking towards Naruto, as Naruto looked towards him, well, Lord Hokage, if the statement is that I was the one taking scroll outside of your library, then it is physically impossible for me. As Minato was a bit confused at this point, as Naruto simply shook his head. Well, if I'm not mistaken, your whole library is filled with seals. No one other than the people who are authorized can bring scrolls out of it. As Minato was still confused, what does it have to do with you taking scrolls? After all, you are authorized to go in the library. But Naruto simply shook his head. As he walked towards the library, the door was simply closed. As Naruto put his hand on it, suddenly the seals appeared and a small shockwave came to Naruto's hand. As Naruto put his hand back, shocking everyone that was there, as Minato was truly confused at this point. He has, you can say, put the samples in the seal of every person that was in the home. As Minato's mind started to go through the memory where he had taken Naruto's sample, as he really could not remember. The only thing he remembered was putting it inside of the, you can say, house seal so that he can enter every time he wants to. But the library, he really couldn't understand, as a frown came to his face. So you can see that it is impossible for me to enter your library, let alone take the scrolls from there. As Minato looked towards, you could say, Menma and Mito, and from the look on their faces, he could already tell that they were simply lying, as a frown came to his face. But before he could say anything, as Kushina spoke up, that doesn't, you can say, excuse you of disrespecting me. I'm your mother, Naruto. You should apologize to me right now. As Kushina had already understood what had actually happened, but she was not, you can say, willing to back off at this moment. As Naruto simply looked towards her. Well, Kushina-san, you are my legal guardian, but the moment I got this headband, I am no longer under your custody. As Kushina and Minato were still confused at this moment, Naruto simply shook his head. Well, it is a simple law, Kushina-san. The moment Menma and Mito were chosen as the heir by the law of the clans, I was dispelled from the clan, both of the clans of, you can say, the Uzumaki and Namikaze. The only reason I was living here, that I was still a minor and you guys were still my legal guardians by being my parents, even though. And now that I have become a legal adult, I am no longer under your custody, so your guardianship over me is over. I was already leaving the house. So that was the reason I had arrived here. So I will bid you good night, Kushina-san, Hokage-sama, as I'm taking my leave. After saying that, Naruto simply slouched away before anyone could say anything, and a small paper was left behind. Oh, and yeah, if you try to force me to do anything, I will push the matter to the council and we will see what will happen then. As a frown came to Minato's face, as Kushina, while on the other hand, was truly confused at the moment and shocked at the same time. While on the other hand, Menma and Mito were simply looking towards each other as they had huge smiles on their faces. From the day they could remember, they always wanted to get rid of Naruto. He was just always there, annoying them. He was far inferior to both of them, so therefore they never liked him to begin with. But they never expected that he will no longer be here. While on the other hand, Minato was, you can say, looking towards the paper as a frown was still on his face. He could already, you can say, force Naruto to stay here. But if he pushed the matter to the council, his reputation would truly tarnish at that point, and his political rivals could take advantage of the situation, especially that Danzo, as he simply shook his head. He will need to have a talk with Naruto as soon as possible. But before he could say anything, Kushina speak up. Minato, you have to punish that brat. How dare he to talk to me in that tone? As Minato simply shook his head as he looked towards Menma Mito. Are you both sure that you guys have seen Naruto coming out from my library? Because it is not possible for him to enter there. As you can say, Menma and Mito were simply looking towards each other as Mito spoke up, Dad, we were just kidding. Yeah, we were just making some jokes, and we really didn't think that he will take it that far. As Kushina spoke up, yeah, they were simply joking, Minato. Naruto shouldn't have pushed that matter that far. As Minato sighed, and where's the scroll, Menma? As Menma sighed, as he said, Dad, I was just trying to learn the technique. We really did not think that Naruto would push it that far. So, he finally decided to give the scroll back to Minato, who already knew that Menma had it. As he looked towards them, go to your rooms. I will talk to you guys in this matter later on. After saying that, Menma and Mito started to walk away as Kushina was still angry about the whole matter as she looked towards Minato, how could you talk to your children in that tone? As Minato gave her a look, Kushina, this is not the time. I have to think of something else. So why don't you go back to your room? At this, Kushina was still fuming but started to nod and started to leave for the moment. After all, she was really displeased with Naruto at the moment. He will have to pay for the disrespect he has shown to her and to her children. As she nodded at that. While on the other hand, Naruto has finally arrived. He has already booked a small apartment for himself. And finally, he was free from the influence of that damn family. And today was the day of his freedom as he let out a small smile as Naruto simply shook his head. Memories of how he has wandered for so long, being a ghost. He was able to go to places, read many things, but it was truly torturous for him. But he was able to learn a, you can say, energy source he could use as a ghost, and he was able to gather a lot of, you can say, remaining energy. He called it negative chakra or dark chakra. He was able to get it from graves and many places, especially the places where shinobis were buried. He was able to gather all that energy and was able to perform a technique and was able to come back to this time period, but a smile was on his face. This was the world where he wanted to live. He simply cannot pass on without living it, as Naruto smiled at that. Finally, let us have a small timescape as Minato was looking down towards the sheet as a small frown was on his face. You can say, dialogue after yesterday he had with Naruto was still on his mind, but he simply shook his head as he looked towards the Jonis that were gathered here. So these are your teams. You are dismissed. After saying that, all of them decided to leave, while on the other hand, Minato looked towards Kushina, who was standing there. So finally, you have agreed to my request. Menma, Mito, and Sai are gonna be in a single team. Menma, Mito, and Sasuke are gonna be in a single team. So you have to train them well. Kakashi will, you can say, sometime tag along with the team to train Sasuke with the Sharingan. So you have to be more, you can say, attentive to Menma and Mito for the training. Council was really up on my ass about the matter, but I was able to, you can say, make some concessions, and they have finally agreed that Kakashi could train them from time to time, but you are their main sensei. As Kushina nodded at that, as she looked towards Minato, what about Naruto? And this time her tone was a bit gentler as Minato simply shook his head. I have not talked to him, but don't worry, I will talk to him. As Kushina nodded, tell him that if he apologizes to me and to his siblings about overreacting on a small joke, then I will forgive him and let him back in our house. At this, Minato looked towards her for a second but nodded nonetheless. Don't worry, I will try to convince him about the matter. As Kushina nodded at that and decided to leave for her team, as Minato simply shook his head. And finally, as he said, what do you think about the matter, Sensei? As a figure appeared from the shadows, as this was none other than, you can say, Jiraiya, who was here concealing himself. Well, to be honest, I really didn't think that the brat would push for this. But don't worry, Minato. I have seen the kid growing up. He really didn't have a backbone of standing up to all of you. As Minato nodded at that, whenever he looked towards Naruto, he always felt that how he was just a weakling, even though he looked more like him. And Minato, above all else, cared about his reputation as a hero, as a fourth Hokage. And the only reason he was paying more attention to Manma and Mito was about that small premonition of the Great Toad, and they were Jinchurikis as well. And for Naruto, he really didn't think of much potential there. That was the reason he always put a blind eye of the treatment he had in the whole family. And Kushina was being more excessive towards him, as Minato really didn't care much about it. As he looked towards Jiraiya, and what of the things I have told you? As Jiraiya nodded, this is the information about the other nations. It seemed that the plans you have made are finally working. We are able to sabotage many of the stone forces, programs, and how were able to, you can say, force them to slow down their recruitment thanks to some, you can say, well planned accidents that happen in training. As Minato smirked at that. After all, this was his plan to weaken the other nations, and when the time comes, he will finally take over as the one true ruler. As Minato smirked, as he said, what about the other nations? As Jiraiya smirked, well, I was able to get some of the bloodline users and they are already adopted into the root program. As Minato nodded, and we are able to push some of the information from here to there so that this small civil war of theirs could continue on. As Minato nodded, and finally Kumo. It seemed that they are still getting more powerful. They have to do some things about Kumo as soon as possible. As Minato nodded at that, tell Danzo to come here. I have a mission for him. We cannot let him have more power. It is time that we make him a bit busy on other matters so that we can make our moves on his organization. At this, Jiraiya nodded and decided to leave, while on the other hand, Minato looked outside of the window. Soon enough, he will make his move and become the ruler of the world just like he deserves. As Minato smirked at that as a dark look came to his eyes. While on the other hand, Naruto was at the moment sitting in the academy. Finally, a person arrived. As he was sitting with two people, these people were none other than Sai and, you can say, Kiyomi Uchiha, the twin sister of Sasuke Uchiha. As Kiyomi was looking annoyed, she already knew everything about Naruto. He had a crush on her, and now he was, you can say, trying to look cool like his brother. As Kiyomi scoffed at that, she only had eyes for Menma, and they were soon to be engaged. And Naruto was just nothing but a lapdog for her, and now she really didn't like to look towards him. And for some reason, he was on her team, but at the moment he was ignoring her for whatever reason. As Kiyomi was really angry at the moment, she wanted to be with Menma, but it seemed that her brother had gotten the opportunity, and she simply scoffed at that. Finally, the door opened and their sensei has arrived. This was none other than Shisui Uchiha. As Shisui started to look around as he gave a small wink to Kiyomi, who was a bit surprised to see Shisui there. As he said, Shisui, what are you doing here? As Shisui said, well, little fire, I'm your sensei, of course. Team 13, come with me. At this, Naruto looked towards Shisui. He knew everything about Shisui and how he was also betrayed, as he was a loyal shinobi of Minato. But when Menma became the Hokage, he got rid of him, thinking that he had the Mangekyo Sharingan, so he could actually control the Kyuubi inside of him. So therefore, he considered Shisui to be a threat. He had gotten rid of every Mangekyo user other than Sasuke, who was married to Mito and was best friend with Menma. But Naruto simply shook his head. It was really not his concern. He's gonna change things to his advantage. That doesn't mean that he's gonna save everyone from their horrific fate. As Naruto simply shook his head. Finally, they had finally arrived to a training ground as Shisui looked towards everyone as he said, well, allow me to introduce myself. I am Shisui Uchiha and I'm gonna be your sensei. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves as Kiyomi Scarf? My name is Kiyomi Uchiha. I like training and my goal is to become the strongest female Uchiha in the whole history and maybe one day get married to a strong shinobi as she thought of Menma, while on the other hand, Sai spoke up. My name is Sai with a fake smile on his face, and I like to draw, and my goal is to protect Konoha. Other than that, while on the other hand, Shisui looked towards Naruto as Naruto looked towards Shisui. My name is Naruto, and my goal is to become the strongest shinobi to ever live. While everyone was waiting for any other thing, but you can say nothing as Shisui was really surprised. He had already seen the file of Naruto. He was, you can say, in the middle of the pack, not too outstanding, but not at the bottom or hopeless, while his personality was like a, you can say, a shy person have a huge crush on Kiyomi. Other than that, nothing was in his file, as Kiyomi scoffed at that, as if a loser like you could ever become a strongest shinobi. Ha! Only an Uchiha can take that title, as Naruto completely ignored her, which angered Kiyomi even further. She was about to yell at him, just like always she used to do so, and hit him afterward, and how he will come back to her apologizing and things like that, as she was about to do that, but you can say Shusi spoke up. Alright, that is enough. So, before you can say you guys go on missions, you have a small test. All you have to do is to take these bells from me. If you're able to do that, then you will be an official team and we will go on mission. And if you're unable to do that, then you will return back to the academy. And before you ask, yes, I only have 2 bells and one of you is definitely go back. Is gonna go back to the academy. This surprises everyone, but Naruto, who already knew about the true meaning of the test, but he's not gonna, you can say, as Shisui looked towards all of them, well then, you have 2.5 hours, so let us begin. After saying that, he put an alarm clock there and activated, while on the other hand, everyone flashed away. Other than, you can say, Naruto, who was standing there as Shisui gave him a smile. Well, Naruto, it seems that you're confident in your and power. So let's see that how powerful you truly are. I just hope that you do not disappoint me. After all, everyone know that you're not as strong as your sibling. Trying to, you can say, mock Naruto to see a reaction coming out of him. As Naruto looked towards Shisui as he said, Shisui of the Sunshine, as the user of the Sharingan, the one of the 2 prodigies of the Uchiha clan. Everyone knows about you. As Shisui looked towards him, oh really now? Well then, so you really think that you can take me on even if you know so much about me? As Naruto looked towards Shisui. Suddenly, Naruto pointed his hand towards Shisui as if he was bringing it down, but Shisui was a bit confused. After all, he was almost like 100 feet away from Naruto, but before he could say anything, Naruto spoke up. Dark slash, and just like that, a shockwave of like a sword came from Naruto's hand, rushing towards Shisui with blinding speed, as Shisui was barely able to sunshine out of the way, activating his Sharingan. But before he could say anything, a figure spoke from behind. It seemed that you're not as fast as other people say, as Shisui was suddenly shocked as he looked back to see that a hand was coming towards his eye. The hand was surrounded with black energy, making a sword-like shape, as Shisui was barely able to move his face at the last second as some of his hair was cut off, but that slash was directed towards his eye, damn it, towards his eye, as he quickly sunshined out of the way. As Naruto was standing there looking towards Shisui, his hand was still glowing. Just imagine Goku's black sword or technique. You already know about it. As Naruto looked towards Shisui and a smirk came to his face as Shisui was taken aback from it all. That speed was truly something else. While on the other hand, Sai was looking towards everything with a surprised look on his face. After all, Root have all the information about Naruto, Uzumaki, Namakase, the failure of the whole family, the weakest link. And they have many plans for him, but they saw that how he really didn't have much potential and his parents really didn't love him much, so therefore he was useless from the perspective of, you can say, using him from blackmail or using him to be a weapon in the future. So he was truly useless for their root. While on the other hand, Kiyomi could not believe her eyes. How could that failure have that kind of speed? She really didn't see him moving. And that technique, what technique was that? She had one Tomo Sharingan. She was looking towards him, but she was unable to copy whatever it was. It was truly something else. Hell, she couldn't even see what it was with using her Sharingan, as if nothing was there. As Naruto's chuckle towards Shisui, this was the power of, you can say, his soul when he became a ghost. This was the power he had gained access to, the power he had gathered from the other graves, and as such. So therefore, it was truly a dark energy, energy of the dead. If one were to say, if chakra was the energy of living, then this power was the energy of dead people. And Naruto could use it perfectly along with chakra. Even after coming back to this body, all of that energy came with him. So he could do things that these people could not even imagine. As Naruto said, well then, sensei, let us see if you're really as fast as other people say. Dark step. And just like that, shadow appeared from Naruto's, you can say, shadow. It started to get dark, and as Naruto took a step towards Shisui, and within a blink of an eye, he was in front of Shisui. As Shisui, who had his Sharingan activated, could not believe his eyes. That couldn't be pure speed. It was simply not possible. As he brought out his Tanto, as Naruto's, you can say, hand was coming towards his chest, as Shisui blocked it with his Tanto, which was made of, you can say, chakra metal. Therefore, he was able to pump chakra into it. But to his utter shock, his chakra, as if coming in contact with Naruto's hand, was dying down as Naruto easily cut through his Tanto and also his Jonin vest. As Shisui quickly jumped away as Naruto appeared in front of him, as he started to go through hand signs, but Shisui was a bit confused. He has never seen such hand signs. They doesn't even make any sense. But to his utter shock, black flames came from Naruto's mouth towards Shisui with blinding speed as Shisui quickly sunshine out of the place. As he looked back to see that the trees the fire had hit had been as if they were simply dying. It was not like burning, no, as if their life energy was literally turned into nothingness and they have withered away. As Naruto looked towards Shisui with a smirk on his face, as Shisui, for a, you can say, small second, felt fear as he took a step back but quickly focused his eyes towards Naruto, trying to put him in a genjutsu. But to his surprise, he was unable to do anything, and once again Naruto was behind him as Shisui cursed under his breath and, you can say, quickly sunshine out of the place as Naruto looked towards Shisui. But this time, as he brought his hand up to show both of the bells, as Shisui was truly taken aback from all of it. Never in the history of the Konoha history a genin was able to take bells from a Jonin. It was simply not possible. As he looked towards Naruto, who was smirking towards Shisui, as Shisui simply shook his head as Kiyomi and Sai came out of the, you can say, as Sai and Kiyomi finally came out of their hiding space, as Shisui was really shocked at the moment. He really didn't know what to say at this point, but decided to, you can say, continue the test as he looked towards Naruto with a fake smile on his face, as it was almost as fake as Sai's. As he said, well, Naruto, that was really impressive. You were able to get me off guard, but what are you gonna do with the bells? After all, there are two bells. So, which one are you gonna give it to? As Kiyomi smirked inwardly. Well, she was surprised that he was able to get the bells, but there was no doubt in her mind that she was gonna get the bell. After all, everyone knew that how big of a crush he had on her and how she's gonna use him to get close to Menma in the future. As before, she can say anything. As Naruto spoke up, well then, as Naruto threw a bell in the air, and you can say as flames appear from Naruto's hand, engulfing the bell, as turning it into nothingness, shocking all the people that were there. I don't need two weaklings dragging me down. I am more than enough. After all, I'm the only one who did the work, got the bell, so I should be the only one getting the credit. Both of them can get lost to the academy, shocking all the people that were there. While on the other hand, Shisui was thinking what the hell was going on here. Never in the history, as you can say, of the whole shinobi program of Konoha, something like this has happened. But he simply cannot lose his composure. But at the moment, he has to come with something. After all, their direct orders. Sai was, you can say, a root member, as Kiyomi was the daughter of the clan head of the Uchiha clan. And you can say Naruto, even though he was not well liked, Minato really cared about his image, so he simply cannot have his son not becoming a shinobi, even though he has got the bell. As while on the other hand, Kiyomi burst into anger. What the hell, loser? What have you done? As Naruto looked towards her, get lost, as he said it with a badass, you can say, look in his eyes, shocking Kiyomi before she can say anything. As Shishi spoke out, well, Naruto, you should know that Konoha is a village which stand on the principle. But before he could say anything, Naruto spoke up. Of the teamwork, I already know about it. But as I told you before, I do not need two weaklings dragging me down. They really didn't do anything. And can you honestly say that they could have done better? Even if they have worked together, as Shisui really didn't have an answer for it. As Naruto looked towards him, get on with it, Shisui. Both you and I already know that you have orders to pass this team. Even though I have passed on my own merit, I do not need the pity of other people. But these two are simple weaklings, so therefore they need the support of their family background to be anything in the shinobi world. So get on with it and pass them as well. After saying that, Naruto shunched away before Shisui could say anything, while on the other hand, Sai was thinking of reporting this to Danzo-sama, while on the other hand, Kiyomi was fuming in anger. Never in her whole life anyone has told her that how she was just a weakling and therefore needed the support of her family, as she was a Uchiha who already has the Sharingan, so she will not tolerate this. While on the other hand, Shisui had a frown on his face. This was not the situation he was hoping for. Who the hell was the person who wrote that damn, you can say, report about Naruto? He has to inform this to Hokage-sama as soon as possible. As he said, alright, meet me tomorrow in the same place. After saying that, he shunched away. As while on the other hand, Sai also decided to leave, and Kiyomi decided to leave to tell this to her father, as even though she was thinking a moment ago that she really didn't need the support of her family, she was strong and now she's gonna complain to her father. While on the other hand, Minato was looking towards, you can say, Kushina, who was giving her report frantically about how great her children were, as Minato was, you can say, nodding along, even though he really didn't care much about them, but they were still the Jinchurikis, and at the moment, good way for his name to spread, as he wanted Menma to be his successor one day anyways. As he looked towards Kushina, who was blabbering about everything, while on the other hand, Jiraiya was also there, and third Hokage, who was sitting on the couch nearby with a small smile on his face. After all, he was the one who has tutored Minato about how to be a Hokage and the future plans of Konoha to take over the other elemental nations, just like the second Hokage intended. While on the other hand, you can say Shisui finally entered through, you can say, a sunshine, surprising many people there, as you can say Minato looked towards Shisui up and down. He also noticed that some of the damage that Shisui has taken and some of the bruises he had over his body, as he raised an eyebrow at that. Shisui, you're late. All the other Jonis has already given the report, as completely ignoring the fact that Kushina was there, still blabbering about Menma and Mito and their greatness. While on the other hand, you can say Shisui chuckled a little. My apologies, Lord Hokage. I got a bit carried away during the testing, but I do have the result. As Minato nodded at that, as Kushina looked towards Shisui, remembering that how Naruto was in the team under Shisui, as she was about to say anything, but Shisui spoke up. Well, Lord Hokage, honestly, I do not know what to report at this point. As Minato looked towards him, you can explain everything to me, Shisui. Tell me what happened. As Shisui said, well, Lord Hokage, it is actually about Naruto. As you can say, Minato had a frown on his face as before Shisui could say anything. As you can say, Kushina spoke up, well, Shisui, you have nothing more to say on the matter. I know that he's not as talented as Menma and Mito. I just hope that he didn't embarrass our family. As she was about to go on, but Shisui spoke up. On the contrary, Kushina-sama, Naruto had done most of the work. As a matter of fact, allow me to explain everything. As Shisui gone on about the speed he has seen Naruto, that how many times he has to use his full power, his full speed of Sunshine to get the hell out of the way. As he talked about the speed which Naruto displayed as well as dark techniques of dark color, he also showed a small branch that was there. As he showed, well, Lord Hokage, when he used that strange black fire technique, it didn't just burn, it aged the whole tree. As he showed the branch to Minato, who was utterly shocked. He has never seen or heard anything about it. Not only that, he was able to get the bells from me as well. And afterward, he explained everything as Minato heard this half-heartedly, while on the other hand, his mind was going through several scenarios. How the hell did he miss something like that, even though he was not paying much attention to Naruto? But his armboots were always there, giving him reports about everything. After all, his children were also his reputation, so therefore, he cannot have it damaged by any one of them. As you can say, Minato looked towards the branch as he was thinking, could Naruto have abilities to, you can say, increase the aging process or rotting? Could it be that he also have the power to stop the aging process? As his mind was going through hundreds of scenarios as plans were already forming in his mind. This could be the key of immortality. These were the same thoughts running through the mind of the third Hokage, and Jiraiya was also thinking the same, you can say, way. While on the other hand, Kushina was getting angrier and angrier by the second. How the hell did he gain such abilities, and why did he hide it from them? If he had told them, they would have taught these abilities to Menma and Mito, and they could have used it to become even stronger. As she spoke up, what the hell, Minato? How is this even possible? He should have told us so that we could have teach this to all to Menma and Mito. You should bring him here so that he can tell us about it, and we can teach it to Menma and Mito. They still need more training about it. As Minato looked towards her, as he simply shook his head, do not worry, Kushina, I will talk to Naruto. Why don't you go back to your team and we will discuss it later. As Kushina was not exactly happy but decided to nod nonetheless and decided to leave. As you can say, Minato had an excited look on his face. Same with Jiraiya and Tadokage. Tell us more about the abilities of that kid. As Shisui nodded and started to report. So, what should we do about the whole team? Naruto has already told me that how he didn't want weaklings like Kiyomi and Sai to tag along. But Minato simply shook his head. You already know my decision, Shisui. The council has spoken, so therefore, there has to be a team. Do not worry about Naruto. He will learn to, you can say, embrace the mentality of Konoha about teamwork and all that. He started to, you can say, rant a little bit as he said, so do not worry about it. You are dismissed. After saying that, he simply dismissed, you can say, Shisui as they looked towards Jiraiya. As Jiraiya spoke up, Minato, you really didn't know about such abilities. How is this even possible? I can even tell just by the look of it. The trees around that training ground are really fresh. And for someone to, you can say, even the change, the aging process of a tree, it is simply not possible. As Minato said, well, this could be a new Kekkei actually. After all, even though he really didn't, you can say, have Biju Chakra inside of him, he was still born of a Jinchuriki, and that was how, you can say, Kekkei were actually came to be through Biju. So it was actually possible for Naruto to have a unknown Kekkei, as excitement was in his eyes as he gave a signal as a Ambu appeared. Bring me Naruto Uzumaki now. At this, you can say Ambu nodded and flashed away. As Hokage spoke up, well, Minato, we have to, you can say, make some tests on Naruto's new abilities so that we can use them for our own advantage in the future, for the good of Konoha, of course, as Hokage said, while, you can say, lighting up his cigar. As Jiraiya nodded, I think that it is about damn time that kid became a bit useful, as he started to look outside of the window while Minato was making plans for the future. But before he can say or think anymore, a Ambu appeared in front of him. Lord Hokage, the council has been summoned and you are requested to be in the council. As Minato raised an eyebrow at that as he looked towards Third Hokage and Jiraiya, as both of them were confused. As he said, who called for the council? As he said, well, this was, you can say, on the request of the elders, as Minato was a bit confused at the moment, but nodded nonetheless. He wanted to talk with Naruto, but it seemed that it could be something urgent. So he nodded as he looked towards Hokage and Jiraiya. Both appeared around Naruto, around Minato, as Minato flashed away along with Jiraiya and Hokage in the council. To his surprise, all the members of the council were present there, as he decided to take his seat, as well as Jiraiya and, you can say, Hokage decided to take their respective seats as they saw that all the members from civilian to the elders and the shinobi council was present. As Minato said, can anyone tell me what this council meeting is all about? While looking towards Hamura and Koharu and Danzo, who are looking a bit nervous and still looking towards each other but nodded. Well, Lord Hokage, we have good news for you and for Konoha. It seems that a new Kikigenkai has emerged in Konoha, so therefore we are here in this meeting to give the owner of the bloodline a clan status, as everyone started to murmur among themselves as they were really wondering who could be that they have such abilities to, you can say, classify them as bloodlines. As Minato was wondering who could be, only one name came to his mind as his blood ran cold. For a second, he was wondering how could this even be possible, or who could it be, while on the other hand, Jiraiya had a frown on his face as Kushina finally arrived. I am sorry, I was busy with my children and about their training. So, what is this council meeting about? As Koharu, you can say, cough a little. Well, Lady Kushina, why don't you take your seat? As Kushina nodded and take the Uzumaki seat, as she explained again, as she was wondering who could be. As finally, you can say, Koharu speak up. Well, it is gonna be, you can say, the owner of the bloodline. His name is newly Janin. His name is Naruto, son. At this, you can say the door opened as Naruto finally entered inside of the room, as everyone was surprised as they were looking towards Minato, whose mind was running through, you can say, miles a second, as he was wondering what the hell was actually going on here. As Koharu spoke up, well, Lord Okage, before you ask, or say anything, as she was about to say something, but Kushina spoke up. What the hell are you talking about? He's our son. Even if he has a bloodline, it should be a part of Uzumaki and Namikaze clan. As she screeched at top of her lung. As you can say, Koharu sighed. She already knew that Kushina will do something like this. To be honest, everyone knew why Minato had actually married Kushina. Well, you can say the Jinchuriki, as well as, you can say, the fortune of the Uzumaki clan and the hundreds and thousands of scrolls Kushina had of the Uzumaki ceiling. Well, it was pretty obvious to anyone who could actually know, you can say, who actually have a mind other than Kushina, of course. As Minato sighed, as he could already tell what Koharu was gonna say, but Koharu decided to speak anyway. As she said, well, by the law of the clans, the moment men by Mito were chosen, and as the clan heir, Naruto Uzumaki was no longer an Uzumaki. He was expelled from both of the clans of the Uzumaki and Namakase clans. So therefore, he is no longer your part, and after becoming a shinobi and being passed by Shisui Uchiha, he is now a legal adult, so therefore not no longer under your jurisdiction. So therefore, now that he has awoken a bloodline, which we can already tell thanks to you being a Jinchuriki when he was born, so there is no far-fetched about it. And the report from our trusted doctors, as a report was passed on to all the people that were there, Naruto-san has awoken a bloodline, a dark bloodline to be precise. But with many abilities. So therefore, test has already been conducted and the report is here. The bloodline is said to be confirmed. So therefore, all we have to do is to give a name to the bloodline and you can say welcome Naruto-san as a new clan in this village. While on the other hand, all the clan heads were now looking towards Naruto in new light. After all, they already knew about it but never thought much about it. After all, Kid was nothing special, but now it seemed that they were actually wrong about it and they could use this, you can say, opportunity for their own advantage in the future as I started to go through in their mind of using this opportunity to marry off their daughters to him so that they can use this to get that bloodline in their own clan, and some of the abilities were already mentioned here. As Minato looked towards Third Hokage and Jiraiya as both of them gave a signal to Minato as Minato nodded at that. He simply cannot push it now. He could already tell that the elders were up to something, but it seemed that the opportunity was already slipped by. He could actually force the council to back off, but the other clans will not appreciate it now that they could see that they could use this opportunity for their own advantage. As he looked towards Naruto, the look in his eyes was really he has never seen in anyone well other than himself. He, at the moment, he could look in Naruto's eyes and tell that how this kid at the moment only cared for himself of his own advantage. That was the same look he had when he was looking in the mirror as Minato had a, you can say, small smirk on his face. It seemed that he had really underestimated Naruto. Now that he had become a shinobi, he was showing his true self. It seemed that he was hiding all along. It was truly unexpected, but it was something to be expected. After all, this was his son, as Minato almost burst into laughter, but stopped himself. He could still use this in the future for his own advantage. All he has to do is to give Naruto some leeway and still use it in the future, as he simply nodded. Well then, if it is confirmed that he has a bloodline, then he should be, you can say, given a status of a new clan, and Naruto will become the new clan head. But of course, the laws would still be applied for any new clan to be, you can say, registered in Konoha, as all of them simply nodded as he said, well then, what should be the name of your new clan, Naruto-san? At this, Naruto looked towards Minato with a bit of surprise expression on his face. Honestly, he thought that he will try to push it back. Well, if Minato actually was successful of summoning him, he would have stopped Naruto from going to the council and try to, you can say, push him back in the home on the request of Kushina as. But now, he was saying that how he was allowing it, as he was really surprised. But before he could say anything, Kushina spoke up. What the hell, Minato? What are you talking about? He should be bring back to the home so that he could teach these techniques to Menma and Mito. They need it more than him. He really doesn't have any, you can say, talent. So why should he be left with a clan name and a status? It is not fair. As she was going on and on about it, as most of the clan heads looked towards her in utter surprise. After all, everyone has just said it clearly that it was a Kekigenkai, not some random techniques that could be learned. As they were really, you can say, shaking his head their head, while on the other hand, for the first time, Minato looked towards Kushina with, you can say, coldness in his eyes. Kushina, enough, as he said out loud, as Kushina was really taken aback from it. Whatever she always said, Minato really never, you can say, yelled at her. As Minato looked around, as some of the clan heads were talking with each other, as some of them were smirking, as Minato cursed under his breath. The only thing Minato truly cared about was his reputation. That was the reason he had married Kushina, as she was actually, you can say, said to be the princess. Well, even though she was not a true princess, but anyways, he was able to take advantage of the situation, getting his hands on so many scrolls, being able to develop the technique, the flying Raijin. Thanks to the scroll he had gotten from Kushina, and that was the reason he had married her, so that he could use that to his advantage of becoming the Hokage, and Kushina being the Jinchuriki under his command. So that was the only reason he never truly loved her to begin with, but now she was embarrassing him in front of the whole council, and he will not stand for it. As he looked towards Kushina, as Kushina was frozen to the place, as Minato looked towards Naruto. As you said, as we were saying, your abilities will be documented, and soon enough you have to, you can say, go through a more physical evaluation so that we can see more of your techniques and powers to see that what your Keiki Genkai is truly capable of. Other than that, this council meeting is dismissed. After saying that, he stood and flashed away, while on the other hand, Jiraiya and the other members of the council also sunshine away as Naruto decided to take his leave before Kushina could actually grab him. And yeah, guys, here I will left this part. Hopefully you guys like it. For the next part, you guys have to tell me what should be the name of Naruto's Keiki Genkai. If you guys have any good ideas, I was leaning towards Akuma, like demon. So if you guys have any good names, better names, you can tell me in the comment section. And yeah, guys, do comment and more likes. If you complete the comment and like goal as soon as possible, then I will upload the video as well. So yeah, guys, see you soon. Peace.